and segue with
Oh,
what's
she talked to us again.
oh, recording. Nice. So Joe, how you doing, man?
This mic setup is really killing me right now. It's not staying.
Just let it all hang out.
We tried to move today's episode as outdoors and we're gonna bring it to you live, but I might be holding my microphone here maybe during most of the episode.
Yeah, just let it hang. I think it's oh, there you
Cool.
go.
There we go.
Oh, nice.
So how's it going, Mike?
Good, man. Just here chilling. It's a beautiful day. It's not raining yet. Um Down in Florida, trying to stay away from the Northeast right now and all the chaos. Where I'm at, it's pretty it's tranquil. I don't know if you guys could listen to all the chirping and the wildlife. But yeah, it's good, man. How things up in Connecticut going?
It's not too bad up here. Today I did a run quickly to the package store. I noticed the one small package store down the road that's typically open that services my needs has actually been closed the last couple of days here.
Oh, the one right there is like in the corner, close to the diner.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Shout out East Coast. I'm not going to give away my location, but
Yeah.
but I'm wondering though if these guys, just like other guys, have taken advantage of the PPP loan. Right. That seems to be a major issue now. Is that um, everyone's getting bailed out this time, and most people are making more money on unemployment or through the federal grants. So why keep the store open? Why work when they can just get a little R&R? I'm sure they're working quite hard, as many of us has been working hard since 1971, but we haven't been compensated for it, right?
Yep. It's hard to figure out because the whole the PPP, is it PPE? Is that what it's called, or is
Uh,
it PPP?
it's the Payment Protection Program,
Yeah, the
PPP.
PPP. That's right. The
Yeah.
PPE is the equipment. So yeah, the PPP. There's been issues with it, right? Not everyone has been able to actually take advantage of it. Some that really need it haven't been able to get anything approved. The ones that actually moved fast were bigger businesses, bigger companies that actually have connections with the banks. So if you think about fairness, we could talk about fairness or not, but the really small businesses, some restaurants, even maybe that package store, they might not have those connections in the bank. Remember also, right? Banks personnel working from home, so the capacity is just not there. I don't think I don't think the infrastructure is just able to handle anything that the government throws at it. So yeah, right now we have you heard of that news of some of the stimulus, what $1,200 went to a bunch of dead people. That
So
was what $1.2 billion went to dead people. So the system's it's pretty screwed up.
yeah, we're yeah, I think we're getting to the point here where we've been talking about this for a while, but the Fed's really made it clear their intentions in going forward. We've talked about the digital dollar, and one of the things has been liquidated by either the banking elite or uh, business executives, and we've seen that more now than ever. And continue to see it every day with share prices increasing. It seems like businesses knew that the Fed was going to step in and supply the money, supply a bailout for them, and that's continuing to happen today. We see it in the corporate debt numbers, especially, and we saw that going into Q4 of last year. But I mean, right now, if you look at earnings, you can see that there's no earnings. Companies are not earning money. Businesses have been zombie businesses for about a year and a half or so now. They haven't been profitable. So the only way that they've been earning income or liquidity is through loans, and those loans are supplied by the Fed. So it's just amazed me that even in a time where uh, the Fed is responding to the crisis by supplying liquidity for the people, it's still against the people at the end of the day, right? Because like you said, uh, most of the businesses that need the PPP loan or the EIDL loan are not getting it because it's being taken up by the top big corporate heads, and the same thing goes for the people. I mean, these stimulus checks, $1,200 a person. Someone went to dead people because it's just inefficiencies in government. But I think if you look at the overall amount of money that was created from this crisis so far, the money that the people got is really a small amount. Really
It
not
is
that
a
much
small
money.
one. No, but it trickles up, right? They call it trickle down, but as a trickle up economy.
Yeah.
And actually, it's like the pyramid is spun the other way around. We are on top, and as we spend, as the government stimulates the people, Trump's already talking about, creating another stimulus, and so is the House and the Senate. They're all trying to come up with their little plan, but at the end of the day, corporations want the government to create these stimulus checks so that they could start receiving something, right? So that's what's gonna happen right now, man. What we're gonna start seeing is another movement of checks, because soon unemployment checks that are stimulated by the federal government will stop, meaning that people now will have less. And there's a conversation that now, people will actually go out and work. But if, every day we hear announcements of bankruptcies, big corporations closing and layoffs, then, where are these jobs? Where are these people going to go and work? And then that's when you really have a catastrophe. So I think, since it's an election year and we're close to that time period, the federal government will, stimulate the economy once more. And I think 2021 will be even crazier when you look at the economy. That's when we'll really start seeing, the casualties. We'll see the effects of war. Because remember, in 2008, we had the crash. And in 2009, even around the middle of 2009 is when you really start to see, the issues. You started to see the foreclosures numbers. You started to see corporations just, tanking. You started to see, things like Bernie Madoff and those Ponzi scheme pop. There's so much you'll see after, right? So there's a lag, and we're not even there yet. So there's so much more to see.
Yeah, we're still in the. I'd say we've entered the first inning here, and I guess the question is will we be on a digital currency by this time next year? What will the economy look like? The Fed seems to be increasing its purchasing of bonds, and especially now with corporate bonds. So we're seeing not just the Federal Reserve in the U.S. and the economy could become more nationalized through the Federal Reserve, through the Treasury Department, but we're seeing this everywhere else around the world. Japan is in one. In China, we've talked about, last year when Jack Ma stepped down and most of these top unicorn companies stepped down from a lot of these Chinese companies because the government had kind of taken them out of power and started to, take over more of these businesses. So, but one thing is for sure, I think at this point is that the dollar is seeing its last days. That's made itself very clear over the last couple of months, and there will be a replacement, and people will have to decide very quickly here what to diversify in and save in through this transitionary period of a reserve currency change, and I fear that some people will, there'll be this mirage of market prices, right? And they'll see the stock market still rising, but what they neglect to understand is that the currency is devaluing at the same time, and that's a fact now because we're seeing this printing. So one of the things we've talked about and we've tried to stay focused on here is what will the next reserve currency be? What will the next financial economy look like? And we've talked about Bitcoin a lot. Bitcoin being the first digital currency, truly decentralized digital currency, but not the most important in our mind, because one of the key definitions of money is fungibility, and fungibility, as we know, along with privacy, is one of the main issues with Bitcoin that Bitcoin's facing right now. When it was first launched in 2008 and 9, Satoshi Nakamoto, it was an open source and it was more anonymous back then. But now we have companies that are employed by the U.S. federal government and many intelligence agencies around the world to de-anonymize Bitcoin wallet addresses and link them to people, and then to trace every payment that's come in and out of that wallet. Mike, we've talked pretty considerably on this show about Monero, and I think it's kind of maybe important to just give a one-over of what Monero is and why private money is important in the future. And Monero does actually fill the definition of money, and the fungibility issues. The thing that it solves the most, right, is that it's fully private, front end to back end encrypted. No one knows who's sending what. No one knows how much they're sending. No one knows who holds what wallet address. This is all anonymized, so it's incredible.
A Swiss bank account, pretty much, in crypto. That's what it is, and it's actually, in the times we live in of uncertainty, especially politically. We keep hearing the word civil war, right? And we just think that's just, rhetoric, just throwing the word around. Oh, civil war, we're going to be in a civil war. But when things happen, they happen quick, flash speed, right? That's how the whole situation with COVID happened. Boom. That was, unprecedented. The whole economy shut down. Same thing with the riots. Everything happened very, very quickly. The economy tanked very quickly. And the next, same, right? Now, the whole thing of civil war, it could happen, man, because we have this huge divide going on right now. And it's not just here in America. We have situations all over the world, right? You got Hong Kong. They're having issues right now. You have India and China. You have South Korea and North Korea. Things are intensifying over there. You still have instability in the Middle East, especially Israel. They've been having certain political issues that have been arisen since COVID and all. So, and then you have France. There's just so much going on that if it comes to a point that there's such a divide between left and right from wherever you're at or whichever government's in power, and they want to start persecuting you, they're gonna hit your pockets first. And if you don't have, if you have bank accounts, they could shut that down. That's happening right now with the whole Hong Kong situation. Right now, a lot of people from Hong Kong are actually they're being charged right now. Rates have gone up to $102,000 to flee Hong Kong and go into Taiwan, and they're using crypto and all of this to actually pay for it because they don't want the Chinese government to track them. So that right there is a perfect example of why you want to have a cryptocurrency, or any currency, in my opinion, in any account, just totally secret. You don't want, number one, regular hackers to try to, steal. At the same time, government shouldn't even be knowing what you do make and what you don't. That's just what we believe in. We believe in freedom. That's true freedom, right?
Fungibility and currency is something that I think is neglected, and it's because we did have one. The dollar, a lot of people would consider physical dollar as the last form of fungible money that we've seen. Reason being is that, we all know now is an all cash business, right? Is kind of a
cash business has connotations of the underworld. If you're laundering money and this that, even if you're not doing it, but people think that's what you're doing. So the whole notion of cash only, people are like always sketch, right?
Financial privacy is so important, though. I mean, we are so lucky here in America, in the Western developed world, that we don't have to really worry about it. But the truth is if you're living under a totalitarian government, or even here in the U.S., I mean, you could be transacting in a perfectly lawful manner, but if the bank or someone sees an odd transaction, they either shut down your account or they freeze the account or something like that. Now, if you're one of these people that are living in a country where there's mass surveillance and there's totalitarian control, it could be life or death, and this can be something where, we see it all the time with like cartels. Do we have to pay you have to, they know how much money you have at all time. You can't argue it. And it really, it makes your financial sovereignty non-existent, which becomes an issue because, if you can't save in the future and you should really have privacy and money, man. This is something that I feel like the Western world really needs to understand quickly, is that digital privacy and privacy with the money is probably one of the most important things you can have. It's one of the most important things to a period of enlightenment. I feel like that's why we really saw it, the same thing when we came off of World War II into 1944 with the gold standard, is that once you go into a gold-backed currency where there's savings, there's privacy, there's fungibility, there's there's value in time, right? Those are typically periods of prosperity in history. And, we're not going to go back to periods of prosperity until we have true, hard, sound private money. And that's, and it's going to be so much more critical moving forward, because the fact is we're moving into a more digital age, and there is going to be digital currencies that all of us are going to use. And they can be either the worst things we've seen, because they'll unlock full totalitarian financial control by governments much more efficiently than we've had in the past. Picture anything that you ever do is going to be seen. Or it can be the opposite, which is what Bitcoin was really meant to be, right? Where you have privacy, you have financial independence, and also financial sovereignty. And I really do think that's going to lead to a better world. So that's why we talk about it here.
We talk about it because think of it, why was the U.S. even founded, right? The 13 colonies, where you had John Hancock and you had all the guys that didn't want to pay taxes to government of England, right? And the whole tax situation is funky because people are always saying, oh, then how are we going to get services and all of that? But the taxes that we pay don't pay the services. Those are all bonds and loans that governments take out to actually do that. Our taxes are actually used to pay interest on the money we borrow from the Federal Reserve. People need to understand that, and they just don't figure it out because no one has taught them and they don't want to listen. But the whole concept was to be able to not get controlled and not have your money stolen, because that's theft. If you're going out every day, you're working 9 to 5, 40 hours plus overtime. And then first thing that happens when you get paid is that Uncle Sam takes his chunk, right? And now you have something left over, and then now you have to go and pay your mortgage, rent, payments for cars, insurance, utilities, and some of those have taxes you need to pay as well. And then you have to go and buy groceries, and there's everything else. There's a tax to it, and then you have tolls, and taxation is a form of slavery, same as debt. And we live in a world of two, debt and tax. And that's why we have this struggle and strife. You're seeing right now minorities are really angry because they feel like, they've been shafted. And, it's, in my opinion, it's all of us, as, none of us are the 1%. The 1% isn't talking right here, and they're probably not listening. So it's like the majority of us we're getting ripped off.
Yeah.
We're getting ripped off. Some more than others. We could say the same thing here in America. Here in America, we have it better off than a lot of other countries around the world that, they're enslaved as well by that and stuff that we spread, right? The World Bank, where did that come from? The idea of like the Federal Reserve and the Bank of England, we have spread this idea. The best thing that we could do as, I think of myself a little bit like, an anarchist, but not in that negative way. An anarchist meaning that I prefer not to be ruled by a governor or a government or by anybody. I want to go by the laws of individuals as we are together. And that's another thing, right? They take words and put a negative meaning behind it and then just mess it all up. We have to educate.
And if you decide to use Monero, that kind of solves a lot of these issues that we're talking about. You know, with Monero, there's you mask your identity, you preserve your not just your financial freedom and privacy, but you know, your privacy to transact online and to not be tracked, your ability to not have a government or a business track all your transactions and everything you do and all the data you send online. And it's important. You know, I always bring up with people the idea of you know, if you imagine if you had your bank account just painted on your forehead, right? No one's going to want, at the end of the day, when we especially when we move into a digital world, the last thing that you're going to want is for someone to look up a wallet address, a digital currency wallet address on a blockchain explorer, which works just like a Google search explorer, but for the blockchain, you can look up all these different wallet addresses and to see how much crypto you have. That's like the worst
Yeah.
thing that someone would want.
And
Why?
to see where you spend it at, come on, man, it's gonna happen because we are all going into crypto.
Mhm.
Whatever it is, if you want to talk about alternative or actually central bank crypto, which is actually going to happen because the United States have been actually talking about it. There's been reports of it. You know, it will happen. There will be blockchains out there that will be centralized, and everyone can know exactly what you're worth, where you spend your money, and then that information gets sold to other corporations to actually, you know, market to you or whatever it is, whatever they want to do, because we already have it right now with our data. They buy and sell our data and we have no idea. We
That's a
have no
great
idea.
that's a great point, Mike. The data sales, that data markets right now are probably the best example of why information online needs to be kept more private. The fact that we've all been stolen from and haven't been compensated. We haven't been stolen from because in the terms and agreements of all the applications they tell us, right? So we're getting the service for free, but the fact is that our data, the information is being stripped from us and monetized. And then if it's even worse because we're put on like this hamster wheel where we're fed the information or we're fed products that we don't even know we want yet, right? Because we're feeding them the data kind of thing, and it all stems from privacy not being fundamental in in the internet and in core technologies. And I had always heard from guys that were working on like TCP/IP early on, a lot of these early internet protocols that, you know, one of the things they wish they did a little bit more was implement privacy. But you and I also know it's a DARPA funded program at the end of the day, right? So
Exactly.
whether or not that was really the goal is another conversation. Um, but another thing with Monero too is you know, especially for businesses and for nonprofits, I think it's very important to have these privacy focused technologies. You should not look at them as a tool that criminals use. We all have an inherent right to privacy, and especially if you're a business or nonprofit where, you know, you have very sensitive information, you know, you might have large bank accounts, you need to, privacy is of course the most important thing. um, and Monero really gives the ability to have the privacy but also the auditing ability, because there's a special view key function which we've talked about in the past. So it's kind of nice because I can keep my crypto private. But if I ever have to if there's ever an audit that takes place or I need to show someone how much is in an account, I can just give them a view key, which is great.
Yeah, and you know what? You're protecting your financial house. And that's, you know, that's part of what we believe here, right? We believe in total protection, Second Amendment. Protect your body, protect your household, your family, you know, working out, keeping strong. I need to work out. Yeah, I have no excuse. I have to actually, you know, get on that more. And same thing mentally, be healthy, eat, you know, healthy. You got to be prepared to what's coming. You know, we have whole things with like COVID, this, and you know, um, rumors of famine here, and there's all of these things. You need to be prepared for that. You know, Second Amendment, have your weapons, have them ready. You know, have you know, have some crypto, have some gold, some silver, have some cash on you, have some other currency, passports ready. If you don't have a passport, get a passport. If you have the finances to get a passport from another country, get a passport from another country so you could hop, skip, and you know, jump if you need to. It's all about survival. If you want to survive, you need to start thinking differently. And that's why, you know, when it comes to crypto, we are talking a lot about Monero because Monero is another way to protect your assets. You don't want eyes on them. You don't want eyes on anything. The same thing. Why people conceal carry? People don't conceal carry only because of the law. A lot of people conceal carry because you don't want people knowing what you have on you. You shouldn't. Secrecy is better. It's better when you're secret because you're able to defend yourself best, right? Be like a turtle, keep a nice shell, cover your weaknesses because somebody is gonna exploit it, and then no one's gonna help you. There's nobody here to help us, man. Look what's going on. We were just talking about small businesses with the PPP, and many of them they're still waiting. Not everyone has gotten their unemployment. People are still waiting to go back to work. People are still waiting for answers from the government when they're going to open up. People are still asking questions about the disease. People are still asking questions about the police brutality. People are still asking about just the list goes on and on and on, right? Uncertain times, sometimes uncertain measures happen. Just make sure you could protect yourself and your family and the ones you love. It's the best you could do, man.
That's it, Mike. Well, if anyone's interested in learning more about Monero, we do have an educational website on Monero where we are continuing to teach others. It's learnmonero.com. You can find that link on our Nonconformist website. So if you go to the nonconformist.io, you'll find a link to the Learn Monero website in the crypto tab. You'll also find our adoption channel, which is our Bitcoin adoption channel. So a lot of the crypto education right now is focused on Bitcoin, more so on Monero, just because it's a little bit newer. We're trying to get people caught up on it. But these are topics that we're going to continue to talk about because they are a part of our future. And, it's very important that people get on board early now and learn, because they're going to have the first opportunity to really capitalize on this transition of wealth that we're going to see as we transition forward into a digital economy.
Yeah, we're also we'll have links there too to like products that we like to use and all of that. So, just you guys know that, we'll promote products, and we're business guys too. So we will collect a little, revenue off of that. You guys don't need to buy it through our link. But if you guys do, we appreciate it because we're just small business guys trying to survive just like yourselves.
All right, everyone, take care.
All right.
All right, cool, man. Let me stop recording.